Alright, I'm not gonna lie. It has been a lot of fun talking about Rotor Riot for the past couple weeks. However, we are going to move on. And we are moving on to Troy Naquin. I can't pronounce his last name, I'm very sorry. Troy works for Flynoceros and in general has a much more majestic beard than I do. He was a blast to talk to and is well on the way to becoming a friend, which I appreciate. Troy was there and a prime member of Hammergate. And in today's video, Troy really gets into what happened at Hammergate, which is pretty wild to hear from a first-person perspective. Now, this is, of course, I never do things in order. This is the last of the videos, or this is the last part of the interview. So there will be 2 other segments that I'll be posting every other day, and you can enjoy those. So anyways, enjoy Troy, and I hope you guys like this. Bye. Let's end the podcast or interview, whatever this thing is, on let's end it on a positive note.
Yeah, let's do that.
So I have say again.
Are we gonna do Daddy Shark or what? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I can't believe you should have worn the Daddy shirt.
I should have worn the Daddy. I know I've got my company shirt on tonight, but
yeah, I didn't think that far in advance. That would have been good.
That would have been funny. So all right, so I'm gonna give you quick questions. And by the way, this is a couple of the origin story and the quick questions are total knockoffs from Matt Diavella. I don't know if you've ever listened to him. He's a podcaster that is big into minimalism and stuff like that. And it's not technology related at all. Great guy to listen to. But
all right, well, let's do it.
All right, so here's your first question. Okay, these are quick questions. They don't have to be quick answers. Okay, you have to pick one piece of gear that you will never ever change again. Now the advantage is that it'll never break. It will never break. But that one piece of gear can never be changed. If you go from drone to drone to drone, you will always have to use that piece of gear. What piece of gear do you use? Do you choose?
Oh man. So I guess the only caveat I ask is what, I mean,
it can be anything.
My only issue is what if like the technology changes? Like, do I
no, you've got to it's a piece of technology.
Answer. I mean, in that case, well, I guess there could be 2. I mean, I wouldn't even say frame just because, I mean, if something changes mandate wise, like, you know, obviously props, which again, mandate, but I mean, props are motors, because motors, you know, if depending on who you ask, is not innovative and won't change. Yeah, I mean, my first guess was my HDOs, just because I like my HDOs. But yeah, I'm gonna go HDOs. Screw it.
Okay.
All right. My HDOs are dope. I like them.
I like it. I'm still flying the Dom V3, so
60 hertz, man, refresh. You can't beat it.
Yeah, I refuse to put a pair of HDOs on, mainly because if I put them on, I'm going to buy them.
Yeah, I got you.
So what is right now? Assuming you can talk about it.
Yeah.
What are you flying right now?
Oh, dude. Anybody that watches anything I know, I fly my BFF, the butterfly frame, which of course will probably be controversial in its name. So the butterfly frame is. I wish I was in my office. It's super. You want me to go grab it?
Go ahead. Yeah, we can. Well, yeah, go grab it.
All right. So I grabbed it. All right. So yeah. So I got my BFF. Oh, wait, hold on. So I got my BFF, right?
Okay.
So my butterfly frame. This was conceived with the actual developers of Butterflight, not to be confused with the Helio team, but the original Butterflight team. And the goal was to use a Helio board, an all-in-one, and basically make the ultimate freestyle rig. Josh and them came up with this, and this basically is...
How do you even build that?
Yeah, so 10 millimeters, super long plates. The reason the plates are so long is because it's a squished X. So the distance here is wider than here.
Yep. Yep.
Allows us to get the props out of view, puts the camera way far out. But the biggest feature is you have your FPV camera super low. So the reason why I love this is I can get my cameras really tight in alignment. I get no props. It flies really soft and like slow, very nice because of the squish stability on the roll. And the low mounted FPV camera means that when I'm flying and I'm on the edge of something, or like say water, a window, a wall, I'm right on it. If I hit it with the camera, not the props. If my FPV camera's up here, I usually have to tilt a little further, and if I hit something, first of all, I have to travel faster, but I'm going to hit the props and I'm going to, wreck out. But if I hit here, I'm just going to kind of bump off and scoot. But anyways, bottom line is I can get tighter and lower with my FPV shots. So I feel more connected to the low side rather than the top side, which is something nobody thinks about.
So I actually was watching one of your videos preparing for this interview. And you say it's the last one you just posted at the construction site.
Yeah.
And you say, I got my BFF, and you set it on the ground and you fly, and I'm like, oh, that thing flies really well. And then there's this one moment where you bounce off a wall. Yeah. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I thought you cut. I thought you had actually cut right there and gone into a different, but it seems like you probably just actually just hit the frame and not the props.
So I don't know. So there's two different ones I posted. If you're talking about the one where it was an elevator shaft, was it an elevator?
Well, no, you don't bounce off the elevator shaft.
After you do the dive. I didn't touch the shaft, but it looks like I do because I throttled off of it so fast. Okay, so you're talking the construction site, where I like bounced off of the wall.
You bounced off a wall.
Yeah. So the bumper, yes, it's so sick. I've hit so many things and it just bounces right off. So yeah, the bumper's really nice. That the biggest thing is I run 5S, and because of all that plate, I run a 2200 5S battery and I get like 7 minutes. So I now have like the ultimate for me, because for me, getting out and going for 2 to 3 minutes was always great, but it's like you're in this pressure. Like, oh my God, I've only got so much time, so I got to do so much stuff. So you end up crashing a lot, I felt like. When I went to 5 to 7 minute packs, I felt the pressure relieved. In fact, the pressure now is I got 5 minutes to edit, and nobody wants to watch 5 minutes, even though it looks really good, I feel like. So I actually have a 42-minute vlog right now that I got to figure out what to do with, because I had 4 videos of me flying, and there's 27 minutes of flight time. So
that's
and
awesome.
I like to post raw edits. So anyways, so my BFF is the answer. I love my BFF. I have it in 2 different flavors, and yeah, they're both the same motors, just 2 different sets of motors, like brands. Otherwise they're the same, and that's what I fly.
Awesome.
And for a while.
All right, so someone walks up to you, they're like, Troy, yeah, I've just built my first drone. I haven't flown it, and I'm really nervous. What do I do? What's the tip you give to a first timer?
So I mean, if it's me and it's somebody local and I have the time, I'm like, yo, don't do anything. Let's go fly together. Like, let me go show you. I've done that quite a few times. I think, and I can't even remember off the top of my head, but there's a good steps, to go through. But I mean, you need to find somebody that's thorough, that knows what they're doing. This gets back to the kind of the community thing. It's like, if somebody asks me, I hope they ask me the right questions too. Like, if they say, hey, what should I do? And I say, hey, we should go fly together. I would hope that they would ask me, oh, that's a great idea. Like, how long you been flying? What if I said I just started Tuesday and it's Wednesday? You know what I mean? Like, we're going to be 2 idiots sitting in the field together. But that happens, I think, a lot, is guys are like, oh, I'll help you. And you're like, great. And then it's like, wait, when did you start flying? Oh, 3 weeks ago. And you killed 37 boards already, and you blame Airbot. You wonder how we get to where we are, right? So I would still definitely, yes, I recommend find a mentor, somebody that can help you, and know that that person is somebody that just, you don't need to ask for a resume, but just ask them to see their builds, look at them. It's not hard to spot, I don't think, even if you don't know. I think most people would be able to see and be like, hey, that wire is twisted together with a zip tie. Like, I don't understand that. Like, maybe that guy shouldn't help you build your first quad.
Right.
So, yeah, find a mentor for sure.
Okay.
That's the one, yeah.
All right.
It's just too much otherwise, right? I mean, there's no right answer.
There isn't. That's a you go see Bardwell. Is that what you said?
Yeah, Bardwell.
Yeah, right. Oscar Liang. Yeah.
Go to
I'm gonna buy you a ticket.
I don't know. Like, there's just no good answer. Yeah. Go to chefpv.com. Yeah, check him out. That's what I did.
There you go. All right. So GoPro Session 5 or GoPro Hero 7 Black?
Oh, Session 5. See, that's it. So you're asking in a time where I have to say Hero 7 only because we're getting into the cinema tool stuff, and the Hero 7 is right on the edge of finally being something usable with the right settings. And as silly as it sounds, it does, like the stabilization and everything. It makes it better. So again, we get back to the why I like a 5-minute battery. It gives me a better feeling of confidence. And so I don't care if a guy has a perfectly tuned quad or not. If he can throw a Hero 7 on there and stabilize it and it comes out looking beautiful, and he went and flew a dope location and made it look cool, who cares what his quad was tuned like? Honestly, like, again, we're thinking the wrong side of the perspective here. So
right.
Wrong or right, whatever.
Well, there's the purist.
Yes. So at the end of the day, yeah, it's a Hero 7, hands down. I've, knock on wood, only killed one so far, and, yeah.
All right. Let's see.
Quick tip that nobody does. The mic on the Hero 7, people complain about it. Go look at your mic settings in your application. There's like multiple mic setups.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I am personally still flying the Session 5, mainly because it hasn't died yet.
Yeah, I got 2 still left myself.
Yeah, I like that. I like the durability. They seem to be, they're not indestructible, but they are durable. I've seen so many people shatter the back screen on the Hero 7 Black, so I haven't taken the plunge yet.
Yeah, my Session mainly is actually, so we make a rear mount for the BFF that we do.
Oh, cool.
So I use the Session usually on the rear now, so I use both at the same time.
That's very cool. All right, so here you go. This one might be a softball. Are you ready?
No.
What is the most drama you've ever found yourself in the middle of?
For
the viewers, Troy fed me this question.
I did. It's
a great question, though.
But yeah, and actually, I've got a couple of answers. Now, I'd say, the biggest thing is Hammergate. Yes, I did give you this question as far as it's something historical, I suppose, that it was kind of the defining moment where it was an interesting time. So I actually met Capper and a lot of the people, the Rotorite crew, Drew actually, a lot of guys at IO that year. I was in charge of running the freestyle track, as far as I was the race director for that track. Mm-hmm. And it was all kind of surreal when it all happened. And it was just interesting seeing it all happen and how I kind of came out as this negative, person in the entire thing. When in reality, I was kind of the only rational person aside from Chad. Chad wasn't at the actual scene of the crime though, right? Chad wasn't there when it happened. He was part of it in the aftermath. And I'll say that Chad himself and Todd Wall were the two people that were multi-GP at the time, and Chad, that they genuinely tried to very quickly react and do the right things. And there was someone else that was basically holding the hammer, saying, no, do what I say. Everybody will fear me for the next 3 days, and then we can clear it up in 3 days. And that's the truth of what happened. And the funny thing is this happened where I was approached by said person and said, "Hey, who was the guy that was the offender?" And I said, "Dude, it's all taken care of. I've already made sure it's not going to happen again.
Ooh.
You're just messing around, right? Like you're just playing the game, right?" And then he was like, the guy who was the offender, after I say that amongst everyone pretty loudly, raised his hand as said, "I'm that guy." And the funny thing is had he not raised his hand and had nobody called him out, everything probably would have stopped there. But it didn't, because from there it became, "Okay, come here." And then Tommy starts rolling, and then Code Red starts rolling. Then I'm half laughing, rolling, going, "Yeah, you're just joking, right?" And like, then it happens. You know what I mean? And then it happened again and again, and then it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then Troy comes out. Let me try to fix it, you know, like, so I started trying to do some content here or there. Like I did a little interview with Chris where I'm like, "Hey, you know, guys, it's not what you think. Don't worry, blah, blah, blah." You know, meanwhile, like everything got solved on site. Like everybody was cool. Everybody got their quad back. The guy who, you know, Chad hooked the dude up with a full new setup. Like everything was cool on site except for behind the scenes, really. Like that's where the angst was there was not a lot of chatter there. And then I'm at the event, and all of a sudden I'm getting phone calls from my local chapter, because I'm the organizer of my chapter. And so I've got phone calls from other organizers from other chapters. And I'm like, they're like, "What's going on up there? I can't believe this, blah, blah, blah." And I'm just like, guys, like it's not like it was just so crazy how many people were affected by like this one thing that was like this whole recent drop. Like, dude, if you were part of it was so obsessively crazy, like, and it was, I don't know, it was just a lot of frustration on the people that were there, I think, that cared. And it wasn't just me, and I don't want to there were a lot of people involved that are still involved to this day, to the new IO, that, I mean, it was tough being someone have to hold the line and be like, "Look, we're moving forward, we're doing this," but also know that there were people looking up to you, like back home, like that were questioning what, like people really questioning, like, do they want to be a part? I was fighting at the time to keep three chapters from being formed in my area. We had one of the first 3 chapters formed of Multi GP, and we had 2 other chapters trying to form in our city. And they weren't trying, but they were, you know, they were doing things. And I was working really actively with those individuals, trying to convince them to all fly under one banner, basically. And that was at a time where this just, I mean, it just erupted. And it was like, I had people questioning that, you know? And so it was tough. It really made me into that villain. And then afterwards, I think it just, I didn't use it I didn't react to it very well afterwards. So there was one incident in particular, and I to this day, I've always said that I'll call myself out and say when I was wrong. I won't say that I was 100% wrong in my reasoning, but I will say that my execution of my frustration was completely wrong. And there was a young up-and-comer, Henry Witherspoon, of Flyby Academy. And during all of this ruckus, when, again, I'm at this event, by the way, I was sick all week. I showed up to the event, and within 3 hours of being there, I had a fever. So, like, I was sick for, like, the first 4 days. I was, like, manning this thing, you know. And so I leave, and I'm on my way. I'm basically the last night in town, and Henry Werther, I had multiple people message me and ask me, like, for comment for video. "Hey, can I use your video and do something with it? And every single one I said, "Guys, let me get home, let me put out some fires, and then let me think about it. I'm happy to, you know, message me next, you know, Monday. We'll talk. I'll do something like this with you," right? Like in my mind, I was like, if you're real and you want to do something, let's talk next week and we'll talk it out. And most of them said, cool. One of them said, "Nah, I'm going to use your video anyways." And basically by the next morning had posted, you know, this reaction video using my live content.
I think I saw that.
And I reacted kind of poorly at that point, right? This was Troy being reactive. Nobody understands what I'm going through. F the world. I'm blow it all up, right? And basically, I dug in and I started posting anywhere I could that this guy was a liar and he was a thief. He was stealing my shit. After I told him just wait a couple of days, I'd give it to him. Like, it was just, to me, it was crossing a line. In reality, and looking back in perspective, no matter how much I told him those things, it was in text and in Messenger, and it was probably about 30 seconds. It wasn't as real to him as it was to me in the moment, so I get it looking back, right? And even then, even if he said, screw it, Troy, it's still free reign, whatever. Basically, I went on a tirade, and for like a week, I got them all shut down. Like, I got all the videos taken down by YouTube, by submitting the request by showing it was stolen content. And I push people across lines. And I'll tell you that today, I deal with that. Like, and not just that, but other situations like that, yes, I've been the lesser person or not seen the other perspective as much as I preach to see the other perspective. And yeah, I've gotten bitten by it. I've also, that same trip is when Chad said he wished, or he was glad he finally met me, because up until that point, he didn't like me, basically. Nah, he didn't say that. Let me not put words in his mouth. He had a different opinion of me after he met me. He said something along the lines of, he was glad he met me because he now had, he understood me now, and he really respected what I did and really wanted to continue that relationship. And from that day, we continued some of the same type of relationship I think you have with him, which is anytime you want to ask him something, you're like, hey, and he'll answer, right? Like, it may take him a few hours, but he'll answer.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So
what you're telling me is that you had a moment where you were really human. Mm-hmm. And it was unfortunately in the middle of just drama. Yeah. And you responded in a human way, but I mean, I can't fault you on it, and it's very interesting hearing the first person perspective of Hammergate, because I kind of come in and out of some of the groups periodically. I'm like, okay, I can't deal anymore. Right. And I'll just shut, Facebook down for a little while. And I was only tertiarily aware of the whole Hammergate thing. I really wasn't plugged in at that point. And it's really interesting hearing the first person perspective, because, and I had heard somewhere along the lines that, well, that kid knew he was going to get his equipment back. That was not the case. So he didn't know. I mean, I will say that I still to this day think that, and has his identity ever been 100% revealed? I know who it is. I mean, I don't think his identity was revealed. We don't need to. I thought it was, but. So yeah, and I've actually continued a relationship with this guy. I mean, honestly, I genuinely, the dude was just legit, and he works for the AMA. I mean, that was all known. I genuinely think that, yeah, he raised his hand in a moment of, I didn't think it was it going to happen? Was it not? I don't know. I don't think he thought it was going to be as destruction. And even if it was, again, guys. I mean, not guys, but people, we went to an event and everyone brought back. I mean, you don't go fly for 5 days and not break stuff. So as much as, again, I get the, oh my goodness, I can't believe he did it. Was Chris in the back of his mind ever going to help him replace it? I don't know. I know that Chris would have never said that out loud. And that was the message Chris was trying to send. And I'll tell you that for 3 more days, we had no issues. So whether the means worked or not, or whether the public opinion was what it was, he did what he did, and it worked for what he wanted to accomplish. Now, at the end of the day, the guy, again, let me recap what actually happened here. So we had racers racing all over the place. And basically, freestyle pilots fly really high. When you fly really high, you have more interference in a close area that everyone's flying same channels. We were told to try to keep people lower during when we knew races were happening at the World Cup. We had a few blowouts that had happened and caused some major issues with some top pilots and some people possibly crashing and breaking things. This person powered on in the pits
at a high level, period. And whether it was accidental or not, that actually knocked somebody out to where they basically flew their quad into a cornfield and lost it. And it cost the event time. It cost all, because that quad was powered for 30 minutes on a dying battery. There's lots of things that were at stake here and were problematic. And we're talking, you know, so whether he damaged the quad in the back of his mind was going to the next day or 3 days later go to the guy and do it, I don't know. I can't say. Yeah. I can say that he portrayed the fact that he wasn't, and that was his message, and if it was for a purpose. So, you know, the other people around, I think, played into it. I think, again, much like Code Red and Tommy and these guys, I think everyone thought no matter what, the guy's not going to walk away with a broken quad, and nobody's not going to take care of him. You know what I mean? Because, again, we got to get back to what the community is. Like, yeah, if I take a hammer to your quad, bro, I'm going to replace your quad. You know, like, that's just kind of a given. So, again, it was just really weird how it got blown out and then dissected. And then I think that the biggest part of this is you know, the polarization, or not the polarization, the dissension between multi-GP and Rotor Riot. You know, I think that was at the time was already a tumultuous thing and was a forced marriage to some degree. For whatever reason. I'm not saying I know inside information. I'm just saying the way that all came together from the outside perspective was Rotor Riot came in and was asked to come in to kind of help bolster the event to a certain level and bring people in. And I think when it became Chris is doing this and Chris is saying this is the way it is, that caused the division that had to happen, because now you've got these celebrities. They're, you know, whatever they are, these influencers. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have called them slugs. Influencers. These influential pilots of the community that are forming the community that say, hey, I have an opinion about that. And we can't fault them for that. And we can't fault them for saying, hey, we want to separate ourselves from that. I mean, it is what it is. Decisions were made, things were made, you know. The biggest story buried in all of that is Todd Wall leaving MultiGP at that point. Why did Todd Wall quietly leave MultiGP from that event, where he basically quit at that event? And some could argue, and that's for another story, another time, and maybe another interview, or some might ask Chris someday, why did Todd Wall quit, and where would we be today with MultiGP if Todd Wall was still at the helm? Because he was the buffer between Chris and the business. And as much as I love Chris and his passion, and I always will, I've always questioned whether he's the leader to bring drone racing into what we need it to be. And I just, you know, as much as I love him, I've been there, done that, and I'm no longer kind of a part of that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's that. Sorry, okay. I don't know if I digressed onto that, but that was real, and yes, that will be a segment. All right, so this is my last question to you. All right. You are you ready? 2 hours, and now we're at 2.5.
Dude, are we at 2? No, we're not 2.5. We've been recording for 1:30 or an hour 30. All right, so freestyle or racing?
Oh, freestyling all day. I'm just not. I told you in the beginning, I started this flying in the camera. I say this every time people ask me or I'm at the track. As much as I love to really be in the groove and be able to fly tracks, it's not my thing. When I see someone pass me, or I pass someone, or whatever, I think, oh my God, that looked really cool. I hope I had my GoPro on. And as stupid as that sounds, like it really is. Funny thing is I flew last weekend at a race, and my last 2 races I've attended, I've flown the most amazing I've ever flown. And not super great. We're talking beginner class here, but pretty damn good. And I mean, to the point where people were like impressed. And so, I actually, the last time though, I flew my BFF fully loaded with 2 cameras, and I flew it during a practice round, and I flew a full lap. And then I veered off, and I started flying like what I call like chase cam, kind of where I was panning and I was yawing around the entire track, and then I'd see somebody and I'd jump behind them and kind of follow them through the gate. And that to me was more fun. Like, to me, again, like I can hit gates, I can go through the same thing. It's just my brain gets lazy after the second, the third time, and it's just not me. It's just not what I do. So freestyle.
I get that, because I fly for I'm not going to say I fly for the footage. Like, I fly for a lot of reasons, but the footage is half of it.
Yeah.
And I totally get that.
Seeing what you did, and to the racers, it's the same thing though, right? To them, seeing the repetitive, oh my God, I got better. Oh my gosh, did you see that? I did it worse. Like, that's what gets them. That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're creators, I think. And I think it's interesting because, you know, you're a engineer and a code guy. You know, you're a software engineer, and I think that's part of what you are, is you're creative. I mean, whether it's, some people may look at it and go, no, he's not a creative type, but you have to be, right? To be able to translate numbers and words into actual physical things, you actually have to be kind of like the most creative. If you know, you're an artist at a different level almost, you know. It's not different. It's then when they look at a canvas and see what they see and paint what they paint. But yeah, it's all the same, right? We're all creative types.
As you can see, Troy is truly not afraid to say what he thinks. And I quite appreciate that about him. As a matter of fact, it makes many of our conversations very, very entertaining. There are two other segments with Troy. One where we talk specifically about Flynoceros and what the future of FPV looks like. And there's also just the origin story, kind of his history in FPV, which I think is really important to hear in general, not just because he has some unique perspective on the history of FPV, but because I think once you start hearing where all of these people come from, it is truly an exciting thing to know that we all came from so many different places. We all ended up in the same place. At any rate, my name's Mike. I hope you like this. I hope you like, subscribe, comment, do all those good things. And I will talk to you later. See you soon. Bye.